I pay cash at the desk and ask for the 8 o'clock. I give the name Jim Hargrove and say I don't want reminders. The receptionist gives me a form about self-harm and I check no, and it is true on paper at least. Dr. Hart's office is warm. Framed licenses on one wall, a plant that needs water, a white noise machine with a steady hum, an old metal vent above the bookshelf. I sit on the couch. I keep my hands on my knees and I keep my eyes off of the vent. The door opens at 8:06. Dr. Hart is in a dark sweater, gray hair, neat part, a small fountain pen and a notebook. He thanks me for waiting. He asks what name I prefer. I say Jim is fine. And where would you like to start, Jim? You said the beginning. Yes. The beginning is water. Dr. Hart waits. The pen moves on the page. I drowned when I was 6. Lake Marion, October. Birthday party at a picnic table near the dock. I stepped past the rope. I remember going under, green everywhere, my chest locked, and I swallowed a lot of water. And then a hand pressed my chest and a mouth sealed over mine and pushed air in. I woke on the dock throwing up. Someone cried out miracle, and my mother cried in tears. Who pulled you out? A man from the party. Short, broad shoulders, work boots, work shirt with a patch. There was a pencil behind his ear. He smelled like machine oil. I thought he worked for the lake office. My mother said no, though. Did you see him after? In the ambulance. He sat by me and watched me breathe. No one learned his name. Dr. Hart wrote that down. And then I went home. I was careful for a few days. I forgot. I turned 7. The night before Halloween, he came back. Who came back? The man. He came through the vent in my room. The screws turned. The cover fell to the rug. He stepped out and dust fell from his shirt. He looked like the men who read meters. Utility patch, old boots, canvas tool bag, and a clipboard. He had the look of a person who goes door to door and writes numbers. Dr. Hart writes faster. What did he say? He said I was given a breath of life I shouldn't have. He said every year he would come back to claim a little of what was given. Those were his words. Yes. What did he do then? He hit me with a short rubber hose. Not enough to break bone, but enough to keep me still. Then he covered my mouth and breathed in. He took air out of me. I couldn't push against him. When he stood up, I felt wrong and empty. He looked at his clipboard. He said, "Meter checked. Breath taken. I'll see you next year." Then he went back through the vent. Has he come every year since? Yes. Same date? October 30th. Same time? 9 p.m. Dr. Hart glanced at the wall clock. It reads 8:22. Is that why you asked for this hour? To not be alone at 9? Something like that. Tell me the pattern. He can come in any way he wants, but he usually appears in some kind of wisp of smoke through an air vent or under a door or something of the sort. He beats me, and he finishes by taking the air out of me. And then he leaves. Have you tried to stop him? I've moved, I've taped vents, I've left town, I've waited in public places until 8:59, and somehow he always finds me. And if I'm in too much of a public place, he doesn't show, but he shows the moment I get alone in some way. Has he ever missed? No. What else has he said over the years? He just, work words, account, reading, correction, usage. He doesn't chat. He sounds tired. He doesn't even sound angry. Do you believe he is human? No. Dr. Hart sets the pen down. What do you want from this hour? I want you to see him. I want a record that's not just mine. Dr. Hart glances at the clock again. 8:28. Well, all right then. Let's keep talking, shall we? He knows my name. He says it once at the start, quiet. He checks a clipboard I can never read. He carries a canvas bag. There's always a rubber hose and something, or sometimes a leather-wrapped stick. The hose is more common. Do you see dust? White dust on the floor after he leaves. Describe your injuries. Wrist, thigh, ribs. Bruises that look like the hose. A chipped tooth at 20. It always hurts. I've been to the hospital a few times. Do you blame the man who pulled you out? I don't know who he was. Do you blame your mother? No. And what do you feel now? A weight behind my sternum. A pull towards the vent like he's going to come through at any moment. Are you in pain? No. The clock moves to 8:37. The white noise hesitates and smooths out. Dr. Hart writes a line and caps the pen. If he appears, what do you want me to do? Stay seated? Don't run? All right then. I'll make sure to document anything that happens. Good. We wait. The room holds steady. The vent gives a faint tick. My palms leave damp prints on my jeans. I keep my voice even by force. What else should I know? He once said accounts can be closed or transferred, but he wouldn't say more. Do you know what transfer means? No. Dr. Hart studies my face. All right. The clock hits 8:44. The minute hand lands with a sound. The lamp drops and comes back. The room feels colder by a step. Dr. Hart turns his head towards the vent and then back to me. Jim, if he doesn't come, we keep working. If he does, I will witness and write. Thank you. We sit through the next minutes without saying much. I don't look away from Dr. Hart's face except to give the vent a glance. What changes year to year? Dr. Hart asks. Clothes stay the same. Work shirt with a patch I can't read. Sometimes a polo with a stitched logo I can't identify. The pencil is always behind his ear. The bag is the same, the hose is the same. His eyes are dark and gloss, and his skin looks too pale for the season. Tell me the first full meeting in detail. I was 7. Night before Halloween. My mother was on the phone in the kitchen. I was in bed with the light on. The vent cover clicked. The screws turned. The cover dropped to the carpet. He stepped through and wiped his hands on his shirt. He smelled the same as the doc. He looked at me and then at the room. He said I was given a breath of life I shouldn't have, and that every year he would come back to claim a little of what was given. He swung the hose. I curled up. He told me to hold still. He put his mouth over mine and took the air out of my lungs. He said, "Meter checked, breath taken, I'll see you next year," and he went back through the vent. Did you tell your mother? Yes, she thought I was covering for someone. She changed locks. She sat by my bed the next night. 8:55. The air in the room feels thin. I count my breath in sets to keep from speeding up. Dr. Hart keeps his hand on the notebook. Tell me what you plan to do. I'll stand. I won't run. I will not lie still. Anything else? I want him to end this. Do you think he can? I have no idea. I just have to cling to what he said that one time about transfer and closure. 8:58. The pen is capped. Dr. Hart looks at me, not at the vent. I hold my hands open where Dr. Hart can see them. The air has a bite that was not here at 8. 8:59. The minute hand lifts and settles. The lamp drops and holds. A thread of cold air slides out of the vent and lays across the top of the bookcase. The screws don't move yet, and I keep my eyes on Dr. Hart. The second hand reaches the mark. The clock reads 9 o'clock. The vent grill bows. The screws turn a quarter and stop, and then another quarter, and one drops to the shelf and rings. Cold air pours in and hangs. The cover slides off the frame and leans against the blocks. A pale shape pushes through the opening and pulls the room's air with it. Edges form. Weight settles. A short, broad man steps out and wipes his hands on a work shirt. Boots on the carpet. Canvas bag on his shoulder, pencil behind his ear, clipboard in his left hand, and a rubber hose looped on his belt. Dr. Hart freezes. His pen slips from his fingers and hits the notebook. His mouth hangs open. No sound comes out at first. He stands without meaning to. His eyes track the man from head to boots and back to the vent. The man scans the room. Door, window, file cabinet, couch. He looks at me. He looks at Dr. Hart. His face holds nothing. "My God," Dr. Hart says. His voice is low and flat. He takes a step toward the desk and stops. "Jim." The man lifts the hose off of his belt. His pace doesn't change. He closes the distance towards me. He stops at arm's length and watches for movement. I stand. The first strike lands on my thigh. Heat spreads under the fabric. The second lands on the same spot. The third crosses the ribs. The fourth finds the old break. Each strike is set and measured. He watches my balance and takes it. My knees dip. I grab the arm of the chair and hold. Dr. Hart moves in fast, hand out. "Stop!" He reaches for the hose. The man turns his shoulder and drives the hose into Dr. Hart's chest. A clean short hit. Air leaves Dr. Hart in a grunt. He stumbles backward into the edge of the desk and slides down to the floor. He tries to stand. His legs don't answer. He props himself up on an elbow and stares up. Shock floods his face. He stays there and watches. Another strike to my ribs. A crack I know. My right arm goes numb to the fingers and crawls back. I keep my feet and breathe through my nose. The man steps in. The hose drops to his side. His boots pin my shoe. One hand goes to the back of my neck. The other settles under my jaw and tilts. His mouth seals over mine. Air starts to pull out of me. My chest hollows. A high tone fills my ears. I push against his shirt. It doesn't move. I open the knife I was carrying. The click is small and sharp. I drive the blade into the meat above his hip. The point meets dense matter and keeps going. There is no blood. Dry grit presses on the edge. He breaks the seal and steps back to reset. I pull the knife free and stab again, higher at the ribs. White powder dusts his shirt. His eyes meet mine for the first time. Dark, flat, no change. He raises the hose. I plant the blade under his sternum and push. The handle takes the force from my shoulder into him. The point seats. I hold it there. He brings the hose down on my back. The blow folds me over and I straighten under it. My left hand catches the hose. We pull against each other. It slips. I loop the hose behind his back, cross my hands and pull. The knife stays in my right fist. I work the blade in short moves where the last wound opened. His strength is steady but not fast. He aims a strike in my thigh that glances off the couch. Dr. Hart drags himself up on one knee. He reaches the shelf, grabs a thick book, and swings at the man's forearm. The hose slips further in. I cinch it hard. The man drops to one knee. White dust shakes from sleeves onto the carpet. His shirt stretches across a chest that does not fill. A dry sound comes from deep inside him and ends a beat after my hands stop. He sags. His weight goes into my arms and then into the floor. I hold the hose until his hands fall open. His mouth opens and cold air pushes into my face in a steady stream. It burns in a clean way. He does not bleed. His shoulders sink inside the shirt. The neck loosens in my grip. The skin along his scalp fractures into fine lines. His cheeks fall in. The boots hold shape and then fold in on themselves. Clothes slump flat. What should be under them breaks into powder, chalk, and old bone. It settles in a thin layer and thins until it's gone. The hose hangs in my left hand. The knife, with nothing on it but white dust. The clipboard lies face down on the carpet. The room sound returns. The lamp steadies. The air lifts a couple of degrees. Dr. Hart pushes himself to sitting. He holds his sternum with one hand and looks from the vent to the empty clothes next to me. His eyes are wet and sharp. "Jim, stay with me." I try. My chest flutters and finds a rhythm. The room tilts and steadies. "What did we just do?" The words come out thin. "We ended it," I say. "We ended it." I look down. I see the clipboard on the ground. I pick it up. It's gray metal with a spring clip. A sheet sits under the clip. No company name. Columns in block letters. Account, address, date, time. All blank. A hum builds in the metal. A narrow strip feeds out of a slot along the top edge. It prints with a hot plastic smell. Black letters on white. Field Tech. Transferred. I hold the board in both hands. The words do not fade. Air in the room shifts again. It threads into my mouth and into my chest. Dr. Hart sees my breath cloud. I sit. My knees don't track under me right away. My vision pulses and clears. I put the clipboard on my lap and hold it to keep my hands from shaking. The clock reads 9:05. Another hum moves through the clipboard and stops. I look again. Field Tech transferred. Heat comes up through the boards in my hands. New lines type themselves onto the blank form. Account. Hargrove Jim. Status. Collector next visit. Target. Dr. Hart. My jaw locks and clicks once under the tongue. Height leaves my body in short drops. The top shelf climbs above my eyeline. My shirt tightens across the shoulders, sleeves right up. Belt bites, hips set. Feet feel heavier against the carpet. My skin pales. Hair slips from my scalp and falls across the clipboard in my lap. My knuckles bulge. The hose handle, I pick it up and it fits my grip. Breathing calms into counted holds. Dr. Hart watches me change. He grips the desk with both hands, and his mouth opens and closes. "Jim, please," he says. The hose is in my hand. I stand. The room lines up as distances and counts. I step in and bring the hose down across the back of his thigh. He shouts. I strike the other thigh. He drops to a knee. I put a shot into his ribs. He folds and tries to stand. I keep him down with 2 fast chops on the shoulder and side. He crawls. I catch his ankle and bring him flat. He rolls to his back and covers his face. I move with the blows to the meat of the arm, the side of the torso, the top of the thigh, measured and even. He yells with each one and then goes hoarse. Why? Why? He shouts. I look at the clipboard. Fresh text shows in the form. Transfusion event. 10 years ago. I speak the words that rise. You were given a blood transfusion 10 years ago from a car wreck. It saved your life. Every year, I will collect what's due. The voice that comes out of me doesn't even sound like mine. I can't stop what I'm doing. I have to do it. I have to collect. I open the canvas bag that sits by the empty clothes. Inside, tape, tags, a small steel case. I open it. An IV and a syringe. I kneel by his left arm. Hold still, I say. He tries to pull away. I pin his wrist with one hand and clean a spot with an alcohol pad. I press the syringe to the crook of his elbow and trigger it. Blood wells. I place the IV bag full of blood and draw to the marked line. I cap it and press a gauze to the cut. I tape it down. The clipboard prints again. Reading complete. Blood meter. Checked remarks. Partial collection. Annual. I stand. Dr. Hart curls around his arm and breathes in short pulls. He looks up at me with wet eyes. I feel the route take hold. The vent darkens and breathes. I look at him once more and speak the line. Meter checked. Blood taken. I'll see you next year. Air parts at the grill. Weight leaves my joints in sections. Edges soften. The hose settles on my belt. The clipboard rests against my chest. I step into the vent. The room falls back. The clock reads 9:15 p.m. The grill settles, and I find myself pulled to the next account.